What's going on, family? My name is Aaron. I go by the name of Aaron Real Talk. Thank you guys for sharing this day with me. Make sure you hit that like, the follow, one time for the algorithm. Today, guys, we got a reaction video. When you have children, grandma's help is a blessing, not part of your parenting plan. Let's watch the clip, y'all.
And can we talk about how these new age grandmas are actually sad and how they suck? Can we talk about that? Or y'all not ready yet? How these grandmas don't check up on their grandkids, don't get their grandkids, don't ask about their grandkids, don't be a part of no holidays, no birthdays, no nothing. Just nothing. Don't want to watch the kids, don't want to babysit the kids, don't want to come to any of the kids' sport events or school events. Just piss poor. If the shoe does not fit for you, wonderful. Don't put it on and don't lace it up. But these new age grandmothers are truly something sad.
Can we talk about how these new age grandmas actually suck? Hey, that's the way you start a video. Hold on, because I actually understand part of what she's saying, to be honest with y'all. I grew up knowing my grandparents. I didn't see my grandparents every damn weekend. One of mine lived in another state. I might have seen them 4 or 5 times a year. And sometimes I'd spend times with them during the summertime, But you know what? They were very, very important in my life. They were knowledgeable. They gave me a lot of knowledge and wisdom. There were stories there, man. Some good old school stories coming from the grandparents. There were things I learned from my grandparents that I couldn't have gotten from my parents, to be honest with y'all. So I'm with her on this part. Grandparents matter, very important part of a child's life, right? I totally agree with her on that. But then she started talking about grandparents not getting the kids, not babysitting the kids, not watching the kids. And that's where I got to push back a little bit. That's why I got to push back. Those are your children. Listen, when you decide to have children, you got to go into parenthood with the mindset, these are my children. If grandma helps out, that's beautiful. If grandpa says, bring them babies over here to me for the weekend, hail to the yeah. Take advantage of it. If they come to every football game, every birthday, every school program, man, that's a blessing. But you can't turn a blessing into an obligation. Your parents already raised their children, which is you. And somewhere along the way, I think we started confusing being a good grandparent and being a second parent. These grandparents the grandparents we remember had different lives, right? And here's something else that we don't talk about. People say, well, my grandma's always had us. She always had us. Okay. How old was grandma? Was grandma retired? Did grandma work 50 hours a week? Was grandma still paying a mortgage? Was grandma trying to build a business? Was grandma taking care of her 80-year-old mother or father? Because that's the reality for a lot of grandparents today. Some of these new age grandparents you're talking about are 47, 50, 55 years old. They still got to go to work on Monday morning. We're comparing today's grandparents to a generation where grandma may have already been home or retired by the time the grandchildren came along. That's not always the world that's not always the world we're living in anymore, right? That's not how it is. But grandparents, you're not completely off the hook. Now, grandparents, before y'all start clapping too hard, she's got a point too, because there's a difference between I can't babysit every weekend and I don't give a damn about my grandchildren. Those are two completely different things. You don't have to raise your grandchildren to have a relationship with them. Call them, show up sometimes, knowing what sports they play, knowing what grade they're in, remembering their damn birthday, asking them how is school going, getting a chance to take them to lunch, telling them stories about where they came from. Because that's the part of her message I don't want grandparents to miss. Grandparents have something parents don't. A grandparent's role isn't supposed to be identical to a parent's role. There's something special about being able to give a child wisdom without having to be the person disciplining them every damn day. Grandparents can tell you where your family came from. They can tell you what your name means. They can tell you how your mama was when she was young and when she was little. They can tell you about people who died before you were born. They can give you a different perspective. That's why my grandparents mattered to me. Even though I wasn't at their house every weekend, presence isn't measured by how many free babysitting hours you provide. And parents, check your expectation. Check your expectation. Parents, this is where some of y'all might get mad at me a little bit. You cannot have children and build your life around the assumption that your parents are going to help you raise them. You can't say, Mama never gets my kids. Okay. Did Mama agree to the arrangement before you had them? Because Grandma may love those babies with everything in her heart and still not want to not want to deal with a 3-year-old toddler at her house every Saturday. Right? Both things can be true. Grandma can love her grandchildren and still say, baby, I'm tired. I'm tired. That doesn't make her a bad grandmother, right? That don't make her a bad grandmother. But there's another side. And then there's something even deeper, right? It's even deeper with this conversation. Sometimes people say, Grandma doesn't come around, but we don't know why. Is Grandma welcome? Can Grandma call without there being any drama? Does Grandma have to walk on eggshells? Has there been any conflict between Grandma and the parents? Has somebody told Grandma to respect a boundary and Grandma refused? Or has Grandma been pushed out and now everybody is telling the grandchildren, your grandmother doesn't care about you? See, that's why these conversations are never as simple as a 60-second TikTok, right? They're never that simple. So I do think grandparents should have a relationship with their grandchildren. Absolutely. I wouldn't trade the relationship I had with my grandparents for anything. And I've watched my own children benefit from having grandparents involved in their lives. But I also don't believe becoming a grandparent means you just sign another 18 years of parenting. You just signed another 18 years of a parenting contract. I don't believe that. Grandparents, be present when you can. Parents, appreciate the help when you get it. But stop treating somebody else like something you're entitled to, because those are your children. Grandma already raised hers, right? And maybe the better question isn't why don't these new age grandparents babysit? Maybe the question is, what should the role of a grandparent actually be today? Right? I think that would be the best question, because that's a conversation worth having, right? That's a conversation worth having, man. But listen, I appreciate y'all rocking with your boy today. Like I said, my name is Aaron. I go by the name of Aaron Real Talk. Make sure you like, follow, and share one time for the algorithm, man. And we'll see you on the next video. I appreciate you guys.